popularity of climbing has increased significantly over the past decade. Statistics show that now over 9 million people now enjoy rock climbing as a recreational sport. This means much more than just crowded spots, longer wait time to climb your favorite route, or more climbing buddies. This also means progression. Climbers today are literally reaching new heights. They are challenging themselves to summit new peaks, new faces, and new techniques daily, things that have never before been attempted. With this progression, this also brings a need for new equipment, advancements in technology, and new tools. One of the tools and climbing aids that we'll be addressing today is called bolts. Bolting. The practice of bolting is where you take a permanent metal piece and you put it into the mountain, you put it into the rock face to allow yourself to clip into the mountain and run your ropes through it as a safety belay, as a safety device. This climbing equipment creates a negative impact and permanently alters the face of the mountain. These bolts and these techniques should be left to the climbing gyms, for they are permanently altering and negatively affecting our atmosphere, the routes, and the surrounding area of all natural climbing routes. So here we have clips of pictures of bolts that are highly dangerous, rusted out bolts leaving rust lines on the mountain themselves, extremely weak because of the corrosion due to the metal and the weather. Bolts that are leaving cracks and causing higher erosion and faster corrosion to the mountain themselves, making it completely unsafe to climb. Also, inexperienced climbers could see these things and not know whether they're safe or not. These cracks can cause giant gaps and giant craters in the rocks, speeding up the erosion process, making it so we can't climb anyways.
So I think that you can't completely do away with bolting in modern climbing, but it is important to understand that there needs to be an ethic that has already been established and needs to continue to grow as the sport grows. For instance, as there's the potential bid for climbing to become an Olympic sport, it's going to grow worldwide. But that also means you're going to have a lot of new people that come into the sport, and that there's going to need to maintain that education of the ethic that you don't place bolts unless it's necessary. And by necessary, it means that it's not possible to protect it with natural protection such as cams, nuts, things like that can be removed as you are climbing it. And then also considering the local impact that's taking place. If you're in a controversial area, an area that needs some form of protection, that you really are considering those factors, as well as consulting local organizations in the community, either climbing as well as municipal organizations. So you're not bringing in negative feedback towards climbing itself, or as well as into that specific area and doing detrimental damage. And part of that, so as the sport continues to grow, it's going to be necessary to make sure that there's some form of education that takes place, and there's groups like the Access Fund that do a good job of that, but we'll need to continue to expand. Without that, you run the potential of people discovering new areas and realizing, hey, I think it'd be more fun to have a sport climb here than as opposed to a traditional climb. And then you potentially are damaging the rock environment that's there by either not placing correctly and having to have things that are replaced by someone who knows what they're doing, and now you've double bolted an area to make it safe, or by potentially placing unsafe gear and then putting other people's lives into danger because of that, either through individual bolts or through the anchors themselves, which do need to be replaced regardless. And then also considering the long-term impact of what that decision is going to make when you do replace a bolt.
Here we have a picture of bolts and pitons that have been pulled out and removed from climbing areas by groups specialized in doing this. As you can see, there are many different arrays and many different types of problems that can be caused from bolting. Homemade bolts, homemade clips, homemade anchors and hangers. These things are highly dangerous because if those break off and a climber goes by, that can cut a rope, that can injure somebody directly, and these cause a high danger because these can pull out, and inexperienced climbers do not know the difference just by looking at it whether that bolt, whether that hanger, whether that anchor is safe or not to be climbing on. Therefore, these bolts should be kept in a gym, in a climbing gym, where they can be regulated by employees and they can be updated, they can be replaced whenever needed to allow safe climbing and allow bolting to not be harmful.